Welcome back. I gave you a lot of terms to think about when examining Greek tragedy in my last lecture, and now I wanted to put some of those terms in action. You see, Aristotle believed that Sophocles Oedipus the King was perfect, and he thought this for a reason. It seems to follow a pattern whereby all of the terms I talked about in an earlier lecture can be applied and seem to fit pretty neatly. Other plays we're going to read won't follow this pattern in quite such a simple way, but Sophocles certainly does a good job in Oedipus the King of creating an ideal to which other plays can be compared. So without further ado, let's have a look at the terms. We've talked about tragedy and how it needs to be serious. I don't think I need to speak more about that. It should be poetically enhanced in nature, and it should be presented in dramatic, not narrative form. What has to happen on stage needs to be pitiable and sad. And when you're done with it, you'll feel a release called catharsis. The main character of a tragedy will be its heros, or hero. And I'll talk more about this in my Antigone lecture. So who is the tragic hero of Oedipus the King? Well, Oedipus, of course. Does he commit hybris along the way? That is, does he do things to other people to make them feel ashamed so that he can gain pleasure? And the answer is yes. He actually makes fun of Tiresias and accuses him of being a thief when he knows this isn't true. And he does this publicly to shame Tiresias. Does he miss the mark? Does he commit hamartia? And again, I want you to think of hamartia as something you do, not a character trait you possess. Oedipus certainly commits hamartia, right? In seeking the truth, he's willing to go to any length, despite the fact that everyone's telling him he doesn't want to know the truth. Tiresias is trying to keep him from the truth. His own wife's trying to keep him from the truth. And the shepherd who knows the answers doesn't want to tell the answers to him because it's too horrible to bear. How does he miss the mark? Well, he misses the mark in not realizing that the truth is terrible and the truth will harm him. And you may argue about this amongst yourselves, but that's the case as I see it. When does the peripeteia occur in this play? Many of you might think that the peripeteia occurs before the play, around the time he kills his father and marries his mom and has not one but 4 kids with her. Let's keep it limited to in our discussion as to what happens in the scope of the play, though. I believe that the peripeteia in Oedipus the King occurs when Oedipus finds out the truth, when he finds out that Laius is his father, and that makes Jocasta his mother. And once he knows this, he knows also that they tried to kill him when he was a baby. He's murdered his own father, and he's had sex with his mother. Gnosis. Well, you could say that Oedipus the King's peripeteia is very much tied up with his gnosis. He has a realization about the way things really are and about who he is. Catharsis. When do we get catharsis in Oedipus the King? For me, it doesn't occur until after Oedipus has been driven off stage and the chorus repeats platitudes about the way life is to us. I can't imagine anything worse is going to happen at the end of the play. And as I read those final lines, I begin to relax knowing that the action of the play is over. Well, I hope this has been helpful. Stay tuned for my next lecture on Antigone.